All right, welcome back, everybody. Got something very different for you today. A completely new type of creature, far as I know. And what this is actually going to be is a modification on the old Beholder. Now, everybody's familiar with the Beholder. That's one of the most iconic creatures in D&D, without a doubt. I can remember them all the way back to the early days. It's one of the first creatures you ever saw. Now, this one right here, this Beholder is going to be different from the others in many ways. Primarily, it's an aquatic-based Beholder. So this one right here is practically always going to be found in the water, or at least near it, maybe on a coastline, something such as that right there, maybe attacking a sailing ship, you name it. You could find them in a lot of different locations. So Aquatic Beholder is probably the easiest way to remember what this one is. Again, you think about, you got the standard Beholder, you got the Death Tyrant, which is pretty much an undead Beholder, and so on. But Water Tyrant would be a good nickname for this one. And Aqua Malice, right? Water and evil, sort of another little name for it there too. So like the others, it's a large aberration and lawful evil. Now before we get into all the stats and the particulars and such, let's look a little bit first about what would this thing look like. Now everybody knows in general what a Beholder looks like. So how is this one going to be different? Let's see. So we start up here. The Aquatic Beholder appears as a large floating sphere with a large central eye that's bulging. You ever see some of those goldfish in the pet store, got the big old eyes like they're about to fall out? That's how I picture the eye on this Beholder right here. Still has a large tooth-filled mouth, right? Sort of characteristic of the Beholders in general. And notice how this one has 8 eye stalks, not 10. And the eye stalks coming off this Beholder are going to look more like tentacles. So again, gives it more of that aquatic theme. And it also has 2 arm-like appendages with crab-like claws at the end. So basically, 2 of the eye stalks seen on a normal Beholder have developed into arm-like structures with powerful crab-like claws. Those powerful claws are often used to grapple prey. So in everything else that a Beholder can do, imagine one that can hold, damage, and grapple individuals at the same time. The entire surface of the aberration is covered with a thick, hard carapace like that of a crab. So again, doesn't look like, not shaped like a crab, but the surface of this Beholder is different. Has a very hard outer shell like to it. The color of the carapace is generally silvery, but without scales, right? So you've probably seen fish similar to that, but again, no scales like a fish, dragon, anything like that. This shell-like layer is covered with a thick layer of slime like you would see on most fish. Like other Beholders, they have a huge variation in appearance. And if you just look on the internet at Beholders, you'll probably find 100 pictures in which they look different. So of course, I wouldn't consider these all to be the same. Hey, I have all the variations you want. Imagine some people, wish I was an artist so I could draw one up, but I'm not, who draw some that have fins. Maybe some have something like the dorsal fin of a shark, or gills, something like that. You can make so many variations of this Aquatic Beholder. You can come up with dozens of them. So due to the density of the surrounding water and the buoyancy provided, this Beholder type grows larger than its relatives. Just like when you look at animals like mammals, like whales in the water, well, you see bigger animals in the water because of that buoyancy provided by it. Well, the Aquatic Beholder grows larger than its terrestrial relatives for this reason here. Because of this, the Aquatic Beholder has a larger size than the normal Beholder. At adulthood, the Aquatic Beholder will be around 8 to 10 feet in diameter, so going to be a very big Beholder. The Aquatic Beholder moves by magical means in any direction through the water it desires. No visible means of propulsion is visible, so a hover-like ability, like what its relatives has, is thought to be responsible. They can move as easily on land, hover, just like other Beholders do, just like they do in the water. So again, they don't have to stay in the water. They have, They have even been seen hovering just above the water surface, maybe when approaching a ship to attack, maybe a village, coastal, something such as that. So what's a little background on the history? It's very likely that this creature is a relative of the Beholder, which made its way to the elemental plane of water a very long time ago and adapted to its new environment. These creatures inhabit underwater caverns and often live close to shipping lanes, coastal cities, or other regions where they can prey on anyone or anything which lives near or in the water. They're mostly found in coastal areas but may also be encountered in large lakes. An aquatic beholder will often be accompanied by one or more evil aquatic creatures. The beholder may use them to guard its lair. The creatures may accompany the beholder as workers and bodyguards, or anything else the evil mind of the beholder desires. Marrow and Sahuagin are often found serving aquatic beholders. The beholder acts as a general to its followers and commands their attacks on anyone entering the water. Since the aquatic beholder is adapted to frigid waters, it's become immune to cold effects, normal or magical, and it can breathe in or out of the water. So it can breathe air just fine too. So that just gives you some information on how it looks different. Remember, this one here has the big bulging eye. It's larger in size. And again, instead of 10 eye stalks, it has 8 and has 2 little arms with crab-like pinchers on it for grappling. So looking on here, this one's going to have an armor class of 19. And notice how the hit points are a little bit higher than what you see with other beholders. Remember, these grow larger. Being in water lets a lot of animals adapt and grow larger. That's the reasoning for that right there. Speed, I left at 20 like we see with the other beholders. May kick that around a bit. And again, they can move through the water. They can hover through air. Going to be the same. Now, since they're larger, I made their strength and con a little higher than what you usually see with beholders, but still not unusually high. Con's getting pretty good. The dex is a little bit lower, and then other stats are pretty similar to what you see with other beholders too. So an increase in strength and con, a little bit lower on the dex. Saving throws are just about the same right there, not much difference. Perception plus 12. Damage immunity's cold. Again, a lot of things that live in cold waters may get that cold immunity, so I gave it to this one here. Condition immunity is immune to prone. We see that with other beholders too. Going to have dark vision to 120 feet and a passive perception of 22. Like other beholders with all those eyes, be very difficult to slip up on them. Language is going to have deep speech, and Aquan is added to this one right here. I put it as a CR challenge rating of 13. If you think that ought to be a little higher, a little lower, whatever, after we've looked at it, shoot me a message down below. So right after this, to always get in with the beholders, what are the special actions all these eyes can do? So the large central eye is different. Now, of course, if you look at the normal beholder, you see the anti-magic cone. And with the Death Tyrant, you see the negative energy cone. But with this one, it's got something called Thunder Wave. Basically, what it can do is just send out a wave of force through the water, which can do damage and also push individuals back. So what do we have right here? The aquatic beholder's central eye creates a wave of thunderous force in the shape of a cone with a range of 150 feet. At the start of each turn, the beholder decides which way the cone faces and whether the cone is active, just like you see with other beholders in that central eye. Any creature within the area of the cone must make a con saving throw, DC 16. On a failed save, a creature will take 8d6 thunder damage. Now, since that's underwater, if you think that ought to be force, nothing wrong with that. Change it up if you feel it needs to be. So, in addition to that damage, they'll be pushed back 10 feet. On a successful save, the creature will take half damage and not be pushed back. The wave of thunder can be seen as the water moves within the cone going forward. In addition, unsecured objects that are completely within the area of effect are automatically pushed 10 feet away by the spell's effect. And the spell emits a thunderous boom, audible out for miles. Mariners know the horror behind the watery boom and always flee from it. So that thunderous boom could be something the sailors tell tales about there. So let's look at the other actions. Of course, it's got a bite. Beholder's got a big old mouth. So there it is, plus 7 to hit, 4d8 piercing damage. Again, this beholder's a little bit bigger than most, so it's going to have a nasty bite. Don't forget those 2 claw attacks. And again, basically, it sacrificed 2 Eyestalks for these claw attacks. So there you can see they do 2d6 bludgeoning damage if they hit. And again, the target can be grappled. They're going to need a DC 16 to escape that right there. And don't forget they have 2 claws, so they could grapple 2 individuals at once. Now we get into the eye rays. The aquatic beholder shoots 3 of the following magical eye rays at random. Reroll any duplicates, choosing 1 to 3 targets it can see within 120 feet of it. So first ray right here does a Conjure Sea Monster. So the beholder's not always going to fight alone. It can use this ray to summon help. May want to use this one, may have it as DM where this one will only work like once every so many minutes. That way it's not just constantly conjuring, right? So may want to add that or just use it one time per encounter. Just think about what you think is best to balance the party you have. So with this Conjure Sea Monster, here's your percent chance. Here's the monster type and the number of each. So notice they might summon up some Kuoto, some Mero, Sahagin, sea hags, giant shark, giant octopus, giant crab, water elemental. And notice down here at the bottom, there's a 1 in 100 chance they might summon up a kraken or an aboleth. And again, notice I put that at the bottom. That one's optional for fun. Keep it as the DM if you want. Otherwise, just count the 100 as going with the water elemental, whatever you think is best. So they might summon in some help. What will another Eyestalk do? This one has a spell called Whirlpool. This effect requires a body of water at least 50 feet square and 25 feet deep. You can cause a whirlpool to form in the center of the area. The whirlpool forms a vortex that is 5 feet wide at the base, up to 50 feet wide at the top, and 25 feet tall. Any creature or object in the water and within 25 feet of the vortex is pulled 10 feet toward it. A creature can swim away from the vortex by making a strength athletics check against a spell save DC of 16. When a creature enters the vortex for the first time on a turn or start its turn there, it must make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, the creature will take 2d8 bludgeoning damage and is caught in the vortex until the spell ends. On a successful save, the creature takes half damage and isn't caught in the vortex, so this could pull up some party members attacking. A creature caught in the vortex can use its action to try and swim away from the vortex as described above, but has disadvantage on the athletics check now. The first time each turn that an object enters the vortex, the object takes 2d8 bludgeoning damage. This damage occurs each round that it's in the vortex, and this will last for up to 1 minute right here. Next Eyestalk has something called Tsunami. A wall of water springs into existence at a point you choose within range, 120 feet. And this wall of water could be forced and moved under the water too. Doesn't have to be on top on the surface either way. You can make the wall up to 300 feet long, 300 feet high, and 50 feet thick. So that's a big wall. The wall lasts for the duration up to 6 rounds. This wall can be created underwater and have the same effect. When the wall appears, each creature within its area must make a strength saving throw, DC 16 on a failed save. A creature takes 6d10 bludgeoning damage or half as much on a successful. At the start of each of the turns after the wall appears, the wall, along with any creatures in it, moves 50 feet away from you, so this could push individuals back quickly. Any huge or smaller creature inside the wall or whose space the wall enters, when it moves, must succeed on a strength, again, athletics check or what these are, saving throw again, DC 16, or take 5d10 bludgeoning damage. A creature can take this damage only once per round. At the end of the turn, the wall's height is reduced by 50 feet, and the damage creatures take from the spell on subsequent rounds is reduced by 1d10. So notice how the damage drops each round. When the wall reaches 0 feet, spell ends. A creature caught in the wall can move by swimming. Because of the force of the water, though, the creature must make, again, that athletics check in order to move at all. If it fails, it can't move. Next Eyestalk, Salt Bomb. A blast of highly corrosive salt will move outward to a range up to 120 feet and explode in a 20-foot radius. Again, most of these beholders are going to live in seawater. Good source of salt right there. So let's just pretend the salt's highly corrosive here. Any creature caught within the blast radius must make a dexterity saving throw. We're going to stick with the 16 right there. Or take 8d8 corrosive acid damage on a failed save or half on a successful. So it's sort of like an exploding radius of acid there. Next Eyestalk, number 5, Entangle with Seaweed. Grasping tendrils of seaweed reach out from all directions in a 30-foot sphere, starting from a point within a 120-foot range. For the duration, the seaweed turns the water in the area into difficult terrain. A creature in the area must succeed on a strength saving throw, again stick with the 16, or be restrained until the spell ends. Duration 1 minute. A creature restrained can use its action to make a strength check, again go with the athletics and such, 16. On a success, it frees itself. An unrestrained creature can use a slashing weapon to free an entangled individual in 1 turn. Next, Eyestalk 6, Drown. I like this one here. When this blue ray of energy strikes a single target, a Constitution saving throw must be made or the lungs will instantly be filled with water. Any non-water breathing creature can survive for a number of rounds equal to its con modifier, minimum of 1, at the start of its next turn. It drops to 0 hit points and is dying, and it can't regain hit points or be stabilized until it can breathe again. A creature who can breathe water naturally or by other means won't be affected by this spell. So, of course, as DM, if the beholder knows whatever is attacking it is already breathing water, they wouldn't try this, and if it's failed on something once, it'd be smart enough not to keep using it. So this has a range of 120 feet. The Aquatic Beholder enjoys using this ability on sailors and other air-breathing victims. Obviously, it doesn't use this on creatures which can naturally breathe water. 7. Putrid Water. A 30-foot radius sphere of water suddenly becomes putrid, rotten, and sickening to any creature within it. Any creature within the sphere must make a con saving throw or take 68 poison damage on a failed save, half on a successful one. A save on each round may be taken to resist the effects. The spell lasts for 3 rounds, has a range of 120 feet. After that time, the poison diffuses and no longer causes damage. Number 8, last Eyestalk, Water Jet. A 120-foot jet of water streams out and strikes anyone in its linear path. Any creature within the line must make a DC 16 Dex saving throw or take 8d8 force damage on a failed save, half that on a successful save. So there's the Eyestalks. Got some fun aquatic themes to what they can do right there. And then legendary actions. Well, we see this with beholders here. The Aquatic Beholder can take 3 legendary actions, choosing from the options below. Only 1 legendary action option can be used at a time and only at the end of another creature's turn. Spent actions are regained at the start of its turn. So 3 different here. Now this eye ray one, here's one you always see common to beholders, but check out the new ones for the Aquatic Beholder. First one, Detect Presence. The Aquatic Beholder can detect the presence of any creature moving through the water in its lair up to a range of 150 feet. Next one here, Cloudy Water. The Aquatic Beholder can make the water within a 60-foot radius of its body cloudy. At this time, creatures within the cloud can only see for 10 feet. The Aquatic Beholder can see through the cloudy water as if it were clear. And then lastly, Eye Ray. The Aquatic Beholder can use a random eye ray, just like you see with the other ones. And what's down here at the bottom, we already read. So I wish I was a good artist so I could draw you up a picture. Maybe some of you out there are and can imagine what this thing looks like and draw one up. But there's a new type of beholder, right? Something we were talking about the other day on the Dungeon Class YouTube channel. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you'll use it. I think it'd be very funny to hear a story about it. But any comments, any additions, subtractions, anything, just let me know in the comment section down there at the bottom. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.